A new wind is blowing across Africa, carrying the calls for dignity and bold action. This is not a story of aid or intervention, but of agency. In Chad, a line has been drawn, not with weapons, but with policy. Chad has issued a reciprocal visa ban against the United States, a move that signals a deeper shift. Africa reclaiming its power and demanding respect. President Mahamat Idris Deby declared, "Chad has no planes to offer, no billions to give, but Chad has its dignity and pride." The Chadian Foreign Ministry condemned the US ban as discriminatory, making reciprocity the new language of diplomacy. If Chadians aren't welcome in America, Americans aren't welcome in Chad. This is a deliberate assertion of equality, not a plea for understanding. For too long, African nations have been subject to unilateral policies. Chad's action disrupts this dynamic. Partnership, Chad insists, must be built on mutual respect, not hierarchy. The visa ban is a tool to communicate. Our dignity is not negotiable. Chad's stand is part of a growing chorus of African voices demanding to be treated as equals. This is the new Pan-Africanism, defined by self-determination and pride. The US-Chad relationship has long been defined by military cooperation and diplomatic friction. The US has relied on Chad as a security partner in the Sahel, but the partnership has been imbalanced. In 2017, the Trump administration's travel ban on Chad shocked and offended the Chadian government, despite Chad's sacrifices in regional security. The ban was eventually lifted, but only after Chad complied with US demands, leaving a sense of grievance and inequality. This history explains Chad's swift and firm response in 2025. Instead of seeking accommodation, Chad chose confrontation, informed by the lesson that compliance does not guarantee respect. The only path forward, Chad now believes, is to demand respect as an equal. This is not just a policy dispute, but a statement about sovereignty. The imbalance of the past has set the stage for Chad's powerful assertion of national will. The crisis erupted on June 4, 2025, when the US announced a sweeping visa ban on 12 countries, including Chad. The US cited high visa overstay rates as justification, but Chad saw it as a punitive and humiliating measure. Chad's response was immediate: a total suspension of visa issuance to US citizens. This was not aggression, but a defense of national dignity. Chadian officials reframed the narrative from security deficiencies to sovereign rights. President Deby's message: Chad may lack wealth, but it has dignity. Chad's government signaled it would no longer accept a subordinate role. The 2025 ban was seen as the culmination of a pattern of disrespect. By freezing visas for Americans, Chad rejected the premise of the US action. The message: the relationship must be renegotiated on equal terms, or not at all. Chad's reciprocal visa ban was a calculated move, aligning with a rising tide of Pan-African sentiment. By standing up to the US, Chad positioned itself as a leader in a movement demanding respectful international partnerships. The US military presence in the region is increasingly viewed as neo-colonial, fueling local suspicion. Chad's ban is a diplomatic pushback, asserting control over its own destiny. Domestically, the move rallies nationalist sentiment and consolidates support for the government. It aligns with popular calls for sovereignty and an end to foreign interference. Chad's leadership has read the moment perfectly, turning a diplomatic dispute into a symbol of Africa's rising autonomy. The visa ban demands parity, not patronage, in international relations. The visa standoff has a human cost, impacting ordinary citizens on both sides. Chadian students and scholars are blocked from US universities, their futures put on hold. Families are separated, unable to visit or reunite. Americans, aid workers, researchers, business people are now barred from Chad, disrupting humanitarian and economic projects. International organizations have condemned the bans as discriminatory and damaging. The African Union warns that such actions threaten decades of diplomatic progress. Trust between the nations has eroded, complicating cooperation on security and development. The bans have turned people into political pawns, inflicting a deep wound on human connections. Chad's move is part of a broader Sahelian trend of rejecting Western dominance. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have expelled Western forces seeking sovereignty and policy autonomy. These nations are no longer passive recipients of foreign policy. They demand to shape their own destinies. Expulsions, revised agreements, and reciprocal bans are tools in this struggle for a new relationship with the world. Popular support fuels these bold actions as citizens demand national sovereignty. Western interventions are increasingly seen as destabilizing, not helpful. Chad's government aligns itself with this grassroots movement, contributing to a regional paradigm shift. The Sahel is forming a de facto bloc united by a vision of sovereignty. Chad's visa ban extends this push for autonomy into the diplomatic realm. The Chad-US standoff is a chapter in Africa's Pan-African awakening. For centuries, Africa's story was written by outsiders, casting the continent as passive and in need of saving. Today, Africans are reclaiming the narrative, demanding agency, strength, and dignity. Chad's action is a rejection of Western paternalism and a call for true partnership. The US visa ban is seen as another example of unilateralism. Chad's response demands mutual respect. Across culture, economics, and politics, Africans are asserting self-reliance and autonomy. The modern Pan-African spirit seeks to break the chains of the colonial past. Chad's visa ban is a political act with deep cultural significance. It is a nation declaring, "We will define ourselves and set our own terms." This is not anti-Western, but pro-African, shifting the center of gravity to Africa itself. The impact of this awakening is only beginning to be felt globally. Africa stands at the threshold of a new era. Chad's actions, echoing its neighbors, signal a fundamental realignment of global power. This is not about closing doors, but about Africa becoming the gatekeeper of its own future. The visa ban is a symbol. Africa will be an assertive agent in international affairs. Asserting sovereignty will bring challenges, but the risks of inaction are greater. The call for agency is the most significant geopolitical story of our time. The world must now see Africa through a lens of respect and equality. The West faces a choice: resist change or embrace new, equitable partnerships. Africa's future is unwritten, to be shaped by African dreams and determination. The dawn is breaking over Africa. A new power is rising, and the world should listen. This is Insight Africa, where truth speaks and the continent leads.